Hank Williams Sr., the man whose voice could make even the toughest hearts break, died far too young at just 29. His songs, aching and raw, still echo through jukeboxes and radios across America's heartland, carrying the same sting they did when he first sang them. But long after his final note faded, a quiet rumor began to drift through the country music world. It spoke of a small, plain wooden box hidden beneath Hank's bed, locked tight, never spoken of publicly. It wasn't listed among his possessions or mentioned in any will, and those who had seen it claimed Hank warned them never to open it. Some said it held lyrics too painful to sing. Others believed it contained secrets, confessions too dangerous to see the light of day. For decades, the box was only a whisper. Then it resurfaced, and what was found inside sent shockwaves through the Williams family and threatened to change everything we thought we knew about the man behind the music. Before the whispers of the box, there was the story of the man himself. Born Hiram Williams in Mount Olive, Alabama, in 1923, Hank came into the world with little more than grit and a crooked spine from spina bifida occulta, a condition that left him in chronic pain. His father, absent for most of his childhood after being confined to a veterans hospital post-World War I, left his mother, Lily, to raise the family alone. Life in rural Alabama was harsh, but young Hank found refuge in music. On the streets of Georgiana, Alabama, he met Rufus T-Tot Payne, a black street musician who taught him guitar chords, blues phrasing, and how to turn life's hurt into melody. Those lessons would shape every note Hank ever played. By his teens, Hank was performing on Montgomery radio and leading his own band, the Drifting Cowboys. His voice didn't just sing, it confessed. When he stepped onto the Grand Ole Opry stage in 1949, the audience erupted. For a moment, it seemed the boy from Alabama had outrun his hardships. But fame came with devils of its own. His marriage to Audrey was turbulent, marked by deep love and deeper betrayals. His drinking worsened, his dependence on painkillers grew, and the grind of constant touring began to hollow him out. Yet through it all, Hank wrote. He scribbled lyrics on scraps of paper, backs of bills, tattered notebooks. Some became iconic hits like Your Cheatin' Heart and I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. Others, too personal or too haunting, he never shared. According to close friends, many of these ended up inside a locked wooden box under his bed, where Hank placed pieces of himself he couldn't bear to let go of, and couldn't let the world see. The first whispers of the box began in 1952, as Hank's life unraveled. Banned from the Opry for missed shows, plagued by pain, and drinking heavily, he returned to Montgomery. Friends who visited said Hank was quieter, more withdrawn, obsessively writing into the early hours. Don Helms, his steel guitarist, a weathered notebook was filled with lyrics darker and more confessional than any he'd recorded. And at the bottom, a sealed envelope marked with bold handwriting, "Do not open." Some hesitated, arguing it should remain sealed. But curiosity triumphed. The envelope was opened, revealing a 3-page letter in Hank's shaky hand. The tone was raw and resigned. He wrote of being trapped by fame, contracts, faces he no longer trusted. He confessed to owing debts, not just money, but favors and loyalties to the wrong kind of men. He didn't name them, but the fear in his words was unmistakable. He spoke of a final deal made not to save himself, but to protect someone he loved. He didn't say who, but the tenderness in his language made it clear this person meant everything. "The price was steeper than I could carry," he wrote. "It's breaking me apart." The letter veered into paranoia. Being watched, followed, told his time was almost up. "I'm not afraid to go," he wrote. "But I'm afraid of what happens to her if I do." He warned the reader not to believe everything said about him. "When I'm gone, the truth will be in this box," he wrote, underlining it so forcefully the ink nearly tore the page. Beside the letter was a black and white photograph of a young woman. Her face was half in shadow, her expression unreadable. She wasn't Audrey or any known relative. On the back, in Hank's handwriting, was a single word, "Forever." The room fell into silence. Who was she? Why was she the only photograph in the envelope? Was she the person Hank was protecting? The contents of the box didn't answer questions, they deepened them. Some present believed it proved Hank's final days were far more dangerous and complicated than the public ever knew. Others argued it was too personal, too damaging, and should be destroyed. In the end, parts of the box, sections of the notebook, some letters, and even parts of the confession were quietly removed. Whether they were given to Hank Jr. or locked away in a private archive remains uncertain. The public statement afterward downplayed the box as sentimental memorabilia. No mention of the woman. No mention of debts or warnings. No mention of the line, "The truth will be in this box." Rumors exploded. Some believed the box contained evidence of criminal ties or a hidden child. Others thought the letter hinted Hank hadn't died from alcohol and painkillers alone. Theories can't be proven, and maybe that's how the family wants it. But the legend lives. It paints Hank not just as a star, but as a complicated, wounded man, haunted by secrets he couldn't put into song. To this day, the box remains one of country music's greatest mysteries. Some say its contents are locked away by the Williams estate. Others whisper that fragments, photocopies, lyrics, letters, have quietly changed hands among collectors and historians. Occasionally, a piece surfaces, but never enough to complete the puzzle. Ater recalled walking in on Hank crouched beside a small, plain box, sliding in a bundle of letters before locking it shut. When Don asked what it was, Hank simply replied, "That's for after I'm gone." Braxton Schufert, another close friend, said Hank often alluded to unfinished business and things folks wouldn't understand. His mother, Lily, reportedly warned relatives to never touch the box, not during her life and not after. Some believed it held personal keepsakes. Others feared something darker. Secret lyrics, private letters, evidence of dangerous dealings. Whatever the truth, the box remained untouched, gathering dust under Hank's bed while his body withered and his spirit burned out. On December 31st, 1952, Hank got into the back of a Cadillac bound for Canton, Ohio. By the morning of January 1st, 1953, he was gone. And somewhere in that Montgomery home, the box waited. News of Hank's death sent Montgomery into chaos. Fans, friends, and reporters flooded his home. Some wept. Others searched for souvenirs of the man who had touched their lives. Amid the commotion, the box disappeared. No one could say who took it. Audrey denied ever seeing it. Lily dodged the topic entirely. Some claimed a friend hid it to protect Hank's memory. Others believed it vanished to keep scandalous secrets buried. Over time, the story of the box grew into a ghost tale, passed quietly among those who knew, whispered in bars and backstage green rooms. And then, nearly 30 years later, the ghost returned. In 1980, during a bitter legal battle over Hank's estate between his son, Hank Williams Jr., and Audrey's side of the family, an old storage unit was opened. Beneath stage clothes and dusty instruments sat a plain wooden box with a tarnished brass lock. Those familiar with the legend knew immediately what it might be. The question was, would they dare open it? The box's reappearance didn't bring closure. It reopened old wounds. By 1980, Hank Jr. had carved his own musical identity, but his father's shadow loomed large. To him, the box wasn't just an object. It was a connection to a father he barely remembered. Others in the family saw danger. Some believed it should remain sealed, sacred. Others feared it might contain truths that could upend Hank's legacy. As legal tensions mounted, arguments erupted over whether the box was family property, historical material, or a private relic that should remain buried. Don Helm's memory of Hank's warning, "That's for after I'm gone," hung heavy in the room. The decision would come down to a choice. Open the box and face the truth or keep the legend intact. When they finally opened it, the room was thick with tension. The lock resisted, but eventually gave way. The top layer held benign memorabilia, photos, ticket stubs, guitar picks, old set lists. But deeper inside, the contents grew more personal. Stacks of envelopes, addressed in Hank's handwriting, contained tender, angry, and poetic letters.